Guys, my name is Miss Wally, and I'm coming to you today to talk about the writing piece of the kindergarten curriculum. Talking about the standards that we are looking for, talking about skill set that we need in order to be successful writers at this point in kindergarten, and giving you some tips and ideas of ways that you can support kindergarten writing at home as well. So first of all, first two things that I want to stress to you that are super important for your child to be a successful writer at this point in the year is number one, the sight words. Sight words, sight words, sight words, sight words. Those are words that your child will already have committed to memory, and they are able to use correctly in their sentences when they're trying to write or tell a story. Sight words will make them effective writers because they are words that they do not have to stretch and sound out every single time they're writing a word, but they will go, oh, I know that word, and they can write it and move on to their next word. Second of all, letter sounds. Letter sounds, letter sounds, letter sounds. If your child is struggling to know letter sounds or letter names at this point in the year, they're going to struggle with their writing skills. In order to be able to stretch those words out that they don't know and be able to translate them to writing, they have to know what letters make those sounds. Without that letter sound knowledge, what they're writing is meaningless to them, and they're kind of pulling from a blank slate. So if your child is struggling with letter names or letter sounds at this point in the year, we need you to grab that chart that has all those letters. We've posted it on Canvas. We've posted it on Class Dojo. And your child needs to be practicing these every single day until they are 100% proficient in their letter names and their letter sounds. That way, when they're stretching those words out, they will know exactly what letters to write with the sounds that they are hearing in their ears. So sight words, letter sounds, so important in being effective writers. Before we dive into strategies to teach writing skills, I want you to take a look at the developmental stages of writing. In our developmental stages of writing, you probably will see some familiar writing strategies that you have seen your child probably perform at some point in time, either at home with you or even as they are now in kindergarten and they're kind of progressing through some of those skills. So first of all, I want to point out, because this is so important to understand how our kids' writing grows as they continue both from preschool years on up into later years. So our first writing stage is the pre-writing stage. Younger preschool show this level of development in writing skills. We see lots of scribbles, lots of lines. We can see that they've seen letters and they understand that letters are used to make words, but they may not be familiar with how to form those letters. It is a pre-writing stage. They have a pencil, they have a paper, and they're having fun doing it. From there, we move on to our letter strings. Letter strings, we are going to see, are just that, strings of letters that are put together, not in any combination that makes sense and not in any format. And a lot of it they will write are the familiar letters that they know. A-T-E-I-E-O, A-P-T-I-L-M, familiar letters. Again, they're understanding that letters come together to make words. They just don't understand that they have to be in a certain group and say a certain sound in order to spell that certain word. So this is still, again, developmentally appropriate for those later and even early preschool years where they're learning letters, but not how they work yet. Then we move on into an environmental print. They're seeing stuff around the environment. They see it. They don't really know the difference between numbers and letters or words. They don't understand of left to right. They don't understand of writing top to bottom. They're getting print, they're tracing it or copying it and putting it onto a piece of paper. Environmental print. Very early in kindergarten, we see lots of this. Then as we move on to the middle of the year kindergarten, we start getting a base for some of those sight words. We start seeing sight words in sentence. I see the pig. We have the words, we don't have spacing between them, but you can see that sentence is starting to take shape because the sight words are committed to memory. And as we know, we're writing, I see the, I know I see the, because those are sight words on my wall. I'm going to write them on the sentence for my reader to read. Then as we become a little less dependent on writing stuff that we see around us, we start using those beginning sounds. The horse can run. We can see the and can are probably sight words this child has been introduced to before, probably hang on the wall in the classroom. Horse and run are both beginning sounds for those words. And so we're starting to hear the beginning sounds and how those words start, but we may be struggling some with those middle and ending sounds. As we progress from beginning sounds, we go into early developmental spelling. And this is where a lot of our students are sitting right now at this point in the year. We, to, and the are sight words. Actually, went is a sight word for us, but not for probably this student in this writing. We went to the store. We're starting to see, again, a middle sound here. And again, we're holding on to those beginning sounds. And we are starting to see here, you notice spaces between our words. So we understand that a word is an isolated set of letters that come together in order to stand in line to make that sentence. As we move from early developmental writing, we start seeing developmental spelling. This student understands the left to right, top to bottom. They understand that a sentence starts with a capital letter. Today, I want to play with the whiteboard and the shapes, and I want to play with my friends. Here we see spaces. We see a lot of inventive spelling here, where this child has been taught the silent E, and so this child uses that rule in writing the word A. They hear that long A sound in this word. A lot of words like play, maybe whiteboard is a word that's posted in the room. And with probably words that the child has seen and can spell. Friend, want, those are words that the child has stretched out, heard a beginning, a middle, and an ending sound, and put those sounds together to create that word. From developmental spelling, we go on into the transitional spelling, where they start to become fluent writers, telling stories that their readers can read for meaning, and they're expressing their idea completely through thought. So looking at these developmental stages, you might say, wow, my kid is here in kindergarten at beginning sounds, and it frustrates me because they're not spelling it correctly, and I feel like they should be transitional spelling. So what we don't see in kindergarten is we never see kinders come in, do it from letter strings to transitional spelling. That's not a normal growth through the writing stages, and they always 100% will transition through all of these other stages rather than going from letter strings to transitional spelling. Some kids flow through them fastly. Some kids go through them a little bit slower. They may get stuck in the early developmental spelling, or they may get stuck in developmental spelling, but all of these stages are all areas to celebrate growth in. I promise you, before your child leaves their elementary years, they will all be fluent spellers and writers. So we're going to celebrate them where they are, and we're going to teach them how to progress through these writing stages. So I want to say and express to you, please, please, please do not stress your child out by saying, oh, you wrote that word wrong. Happy is not spelled H-A-P-E. Happy is spelled H-A-P-P-Y. Erase that and write that again, because what we're doing is we're seeing them come into the building and they come in frustrated because, well, mommy says I write this wrong and now I need to write it right in the classroom. And Miss Wally, can you help me spell the word happy? And I need it spelled correctly. Those are our students who are getting frustrated in the classroom writing. Students who have been taught to stretch out their words and stretch out their sounds are happy writers. They're excited about it because they know their letter sounds. They know letter sounds come together to make words, and they're so excited to stretch those words out and use the knowledge that they know in order to fluently write that sentence. So the other thing that is important as you are teaching writing, and I'm going to model doing a sample writing with your child on my whiteboard in just a moment, but I also want to share with you my writing rubric that we have been working on as kinders whenever we go back and we check our writing. So the things that we want you to stress at home for effective writing is we want you to teach the student how to sound out their own words. Not mommy, not daddy, not grandma, not grandpa, not brother, sister, not cousin. They sound out their words. The only words we expect you to really help them with are those sight words because they should know how to spell those correctly. And you can totally support those. Or you can take the sight word sheets that they have been given and you can put it next to them as a reference to say, well, if you don't know how to spell it, it's on your sight word wall. Put this in their writing folder and have them refer back to it and find the word that they're looking to spell if it's a sight word. So the other thing we are going to be focusing on is leaving spaces between the words in our sentence. And we're going to talk about ways to leave those spaces effectively. Making sure your picture matches your story. I'm not going to write a sentence about having fun at the beach, but write a sentence about having fun at the beach, but drawing a picture of a rainbow and butterflies, because we want our picture to show our idea of having fun at the beach. So make sure that your picture and your sentence match. The other thing that we focus on is punctuation mark. Some students are already starting to use question marks, and for the most part, putting that period there to remind your reader that you can stop reading because the sentence is over. The other thing that this rubric leaves out is capital letters. We've talked about how a sentence is a line, just like a line of students, and it has a line leader, which is a capital letter, and it has a punctuation mark, usually a period in kindergarten, to indicate the caboose, stop, the end, you are done reading this sentence. So this is a great rubric to use to help yourself in making sure that your student goes back and checks their work to make sure that they have effective writing. So let's take a look at my board, and I am going to model for you. Oh, let me go back, sorry. I'm going to model for you a writing sample, and we are going to take a look at how you can support the writing at home as well by using some of these same strategies. Now, I don't have a child with me to model that writing. So we're going to pretend that I am a child and I am doing my writing. And for some reason, my whiteboard keeps coming up here. Let me try this again. There we go. I think I got it. Okay. So I'm going to model doing a writing of I like to play outside. I like to play outside. So my words, I have taught my students how to make sure they have a spot to sit so that I know how many words I'm writing. I like to play outside. That is 5 words. I'm going to draw a line to hold each one of my words. I like to play outside. I like to play outside. There is my space holder. Now, if your child tends to be one of those who let their words float away, you can always write boxes and make sure that your child writes the word in those boxes. It holds the word so that it doesn't fly away. However, you can also teach your child that words should stand on the line. And if they're standing on the line, just like at school when you're walking down the hall, your feet do not fly away. Your words cannot fly away if they are sitting on that line. Our letters should not go above our top line, so we're going to keep them walking straight. I. I. I is a sight word. I know I. We've learned it in class. I know that I is going to be capitalized. It's the line leader of my sentence. And I also learned that the sight word I is always capitalized. So here is my line leader. I. Now, my teacher told me that I need to remember to leave a space between my words. Stop and leave a space. I'm going to put a bear in this space because when I sit my bear here, it's a reminder that there's a space holder between I and my next word, like. I like. Oh my goodness, I think I know that word like. I know that word like because I've seen it on my word wall at school. It is right here, like. So I'm going to break out my sight word list and I'm going to write like on my board, just as it is spelled on my word wall. I like. I am done with that word. So I'm going to move my space holder down to make sure that I'm holding a space and my next word doesn't bump into that word. You can have an item be a space holder, or you can have them do their fingers to be a space holder. It's kind of like these are our spaghetti noodles, and in between my spaghetti noodles, I like to put my meatballs between my spaghetti noodles. However, if you teach your kids that, a lot of times they'll start writing their meatballs in their sentences, and it kind of makes their sentences messy. That's the reason I teach fingers or space holders. I like to. Oh my goodness, it's another sight word. To. Right here it is. We've learned it in class. So I'm going to write that word on my board. To. I like to. I'm going to move my space down, but I see that I run off the board. So I'm going to return back to the next line. I like to play. Now, play is on our sight word list, but we're going to pretend like it's not for a moment so that I can demonstrate for you stretching out your words to write your sentence. I like to play. I'm going to stretch it out. I like to use a slinky because it shows me how far I have stretched that word out. Play. Another thing that you can do is you can lay down sounds. I'm going to lay down a bear for every time I hear the word. Huh? O. A. Puh. O. A. Puh. O. A. I hear 3 sounds because I laid down 3 bears, and every time I heard a sound, I laid a bear down. Now I've got to make sure I have a letter to represent each one of those sounds. So my first sound was puh. Well, I know that puh is P. Puh. P. I learned that when I learned my alphabet. Puh. Puh. Oh. Oh. Puh. Oh. L says oh. Puh. Oh. A. I can hear the name of that letter. A. Puh. Oh. A. I don't hear any more sounds, so I must have that whole word. Now that my word is complete, I'm going to put my bear to hold my space. I like to play outside. I'm going to model using my stretchy tool in order to write outside. Ow. 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 Oh, I feel my lips making that shape Miss Wally taught me. Ow. Oh, feels like an O. Ow. Oh, I think I hear a W in there. Ow. Ow. Out. Oh, the next one I hear is an S. Out. I. Out. I'd. Oh, see if I got them. Outside. That's the last sound I hear. I like to play outside. That must be the end of my sentence. So I'm going to put my period to tell my teacher to stop. My sentence is over and my sentence is complete. Now I just have to draw a picture to make sure that my picture matches my sentence. I like to play outside. Again, the only thing that you see spelled correctly here are our sight words. If it was not a sight word, I used either my bears and put down a bear every time I heard a sound, so I would know to write that sound, or my stretchy tool so that I could stretch that word out as far as I could to hear every sound that I could hear and then write the word. You hear the sound, write the sound. If you hear the sound, write the sound. If you hear the sound, write a letter to represent that sound. So as we wrap up this video, I wanted to show you a writing sample of a student this year who has learned to stretch out her own words, and she has truly showed exemplary work in her writing standards. Truly, looking at her writing and where she is at this point in the year, like she's kind of even above and beyond, because she has been given the sight words that she needs. She's memorized those sight words. She's been given the support to say, I am not going to help you stretch this word out, or I'm not going to give you the, I'm not going to give you the correct spelling for this word. You're going to stretch it out. You are going to stretch it out. And if you need help with the letter sounds, I'll help you, but I'm not going to tell you how to spell that word. And here is her writing. It says, the very sunny day. And you're going to see in here, some words are spelled correctly because of the environmental print. And most of them she stretched out and she did on her own independently. One morning, Jaden woke up and looked out the window. It was going to be a sunny day. And she changed that into an exclamation mark because she was excited about her sunny day. Jaden is outside picking flowers for her grandma. She is wearing a pink dress. Hi, Grandma. I bought you some flowers. Do you like them? Yes, I do! Exclamation marks. So you can see she's starting to use her exclamation marks and even her question marks in her writing. Jaden is playing hide and seek with Grandma. And you can see her picture supports her story because she's hiding behind the tree. Jaden is happy after playing in the sun all day. Then Jaden is going, and then she went home. So here you see a story that has just really taken blossom. Again, same writer. Sentence, I am going to the beach. So you're seeing beginning and middle sounds. You see that she has stretched those words out. She's missing her ending sounds here, but she's getting beginning and middle, or even getting beginning and ending without a middle is very common at this point in the year too. So using those strategies and helping your child stretch their words, teaching them how to use their spacer, teaching them about their capital line leader and their periods in their sentence, helping them stretch their words out rather than giving them every correct spelling, helping them hear the sound, write the sound, hear the sound, write the sound, is going to teach them that writing is fun and they can do it independently at even 5 and 6 years old. And they don't need you to stand there over them and give them all of the correct spellings, because it doesn't have to be spelled correctly as long as they're hearing those sounds. This child who did this writing, she did way more than what was even expected, because she's learned that she can independently do it because she knows her letter sounds and she loves stretching and hearing the sounds, so writing the sounds. So she ran away with it. She took it and she just wrote an entire book. And even now in the classroom, she loves to write. So if you need any more tips and strategies on how to get your child to advance through those stages, or if your child is struggling with a specific area, reach out to your teacher and ask them to offer support and guidance on maybe helping to teach these sight words, or maybe helping to teach those letter sounds, or maybe you just need help more with the practice of I can't get them to stretch it quite enough to hear all the sounds that they need, and what should I do with that? Feel free to reach out to your teacher, but I hope that this video helped. I thank you for tuning in and for listening, and happy writing.